If you're watching this video, it's probably not because you want to become rich overnight. It's because your costs have gone up, your margins have been squeezed, and you want to run a healthier business without turning into a villain of your own story. All right, let's talk about one of the most stressful decisions every business owner faces. How do you raise your prices without losing customers? How do you protect your margins when everything around you keeps getting more expensive? And more importantly, how do you do it without feeling like you're begging for permission or walking on eggshells with your clients? Because here's the truth. If you're watching this video, it's probably not because you want to become rich overnight. It's because your costs have gone up, your margins have been squeezed, and you want to run a healthier business without turning into a villain of your own story. And I get it. I've worked with thousands of business owners, and this is one of the first things that comes up when we look under the hood. People say, Jay, I know I need to raise my prices, but I don't know how to do it without scaring people away. So today, I'm going to give you the exact playbook I use with my clients. This is the same process that helps companies raise prices in a way that feels fair, logical, and in most cases actually strengthens the relationship with their customers instead of hurting it. So let's get into it. I'm going to break this down into 3 parts: the mindset, the math, and the method. You cannot run a healthy business if you're terrified of losing customers. I'm not saying you should be reckless. I'm not telling you to stop assuming the worst case scenario before you even test anything. But many business owners think raising prices will cause an instant mass exodus. The reality is that almost never happens. The people who do leave you are the ones that are already borderline unprofitable and difficult to deal with. And the people who stay are the ones who actually value your services. Here's something I tell every owner who's sweating bullets over this. You're not asking your customers for charity. You are bringing your pricing in line with the actual value you deliver. Inflation is real. Wages are up, materials are up, software subscriptions are up. If you're charging 2019 prices in 2026, you're slowly suffocating your business. You're not being loyal, you're being irresponsible. Let me give you a quick example. I once did an analysis with a shop owner who hadn't raised his prices in 3 years. He was terrified, swore his customers would riot. We did it anyway. We raised his prices 10%. Do you know what happened? 1 customer complained, just 1. Everyone else said nothing. The shop owner wound up with higher margins, the ability to hire an extra technician, and above all else, less stress, because he wasn't undercharging for everything. Here's the kicker. If you don't raise your prices strategically, you will raise them emotionally. And emotional price increases are messy, they're chaotic, and usually come along way too late. The companies that raise their prices in small, controlled increments tend to be healthier than the ones who hold until the very last second and have to slam their customers with a giant increase to survive. So mindset first. Raising prices is not an act of greed. It's an act of stewardship. You're protecting your company, your employees, and your sanity. Now, let's get into the numbers. This part is important because most owners worry about raising prices even when the math shows it's completely safe. Let me walk you through something I call price sensitivity gap. It's simple. It means customers tolerate small increases far more than owners think they do. And the impact on the bottom line is usually far bigger than the impact on their wallet. Let's say your business does $1 million a year at a 20% margin. If you raise prices 10%, and even if you lose 5% of your customers, which is rare, your profit usually still jumps significantly because the revenue per customer outpaces the small number you lost. Let me simplify this even more. You can lose a few customers and you can still make money. You can keep all your customers and make even more than that. But doing nothing is the only option where you definitely lose. Now, how do you pick that number? I use a simple 3-step process. Step 1, know your cost increases. Not a guess, not the vibes. Actually sit down and compare your current costs to last year. This is the difference between responsible pricing and random pricing. And if you don't know your numbers, then raising prices is not your biggest problem. Step 2, know your margin goals. What is the minimum margin you need to run a healthy business? Not your ideal, your minimum. Most of the time, it's somewhere between 30 and 35% for service businesses and higher for product businesses. Step 3, choose your increase with a purpose. If your labor cost is up 12% and your materials are up 8% and your overhead is up 5%, then raising your prices 3% is basically self-sabotage. You are intentionally eating the difference. And that's not a strategy, it's fear. Most companies I work with land somewhere between an 8 to 15% increase depending on the market. Retail environments sometimes go higher. Service environments sometimes go lower, but they do it more frequently. The key is intention, not guessing. This brings us to part 3, the method. This is where most business owners get it wrong. They communicate price increases like a breakup text. Short, unclear, awkward, and overly apologetic. And the second you apologize for raising prices, you already told your customers you're doing something wrong. Here's a 3-part communication method that works every time. Reason, relevance, and reassurance. Reason, tell them why the change is happening. Customers respond well to transparency. Say something like, in order for us to continue to deliver the same level of service and to keep our best talent, we are making small adjustment in our pricing. That's enough. You don't have to give them your P&L and just give them the clarity. Relevance. Show how this change impacts them. Frame it up from their benefit. The adjustment allows us to maintain turnaround times, invest better in equipment, and continue to give you the level of quality you expect. The truth is, customers care about what affects them. So, talk about what affects them. Reassurance. This is where you remind them you still are the best option. We value our relationship with you and want to make sure that we're supporting your business for the long term. People need to know the relationship isn't changing, even if the price is. Now let me give you the exact script you can use to guide if you're nervous about sending out the announcement. Here is the perfect price increase script. Hi Jay, I wanted to let you know that we're starting on February 2nd. We'll be making a small adjustment to our prices. Like many businesses, our costs are rising over the past year, and this update allows us to maintain the quality, speed, and consistency that our customers have come to expect from us. We truly value your business, and we are committed to supporting you in the same way of service that you've always received. As always, if you ever have any questions, I'm here. That's it. Simple, no panic, no apologies, no long explanation, clear, confident communication. So let's talk a little bit about timing. Do not raise prices in the middle of a crisis unless you absolutely have to. Give your customers at least 30 days notice. More if they're long-term contracts. And definitely don't raise prices during your slow seasons unless you want your stress levels to spike even more. Raise prices strategically. Ideally, do it right before your busiest window so the value to price ratio feels balanced. So what if your customers push back? What if people freak out? Here's the good news. Pushback is normal and it's rarely fatal. When customers push back, they're not saying, you're not worth it. They're saying, help me understand why I'm paying more. And you respond calmly, I understand completely. Let me walk you through the change and why this adjustment keeps us delivering the level you're used to. If somebody still says no, you have a decision to make. If they're a good customer, maybe you grandfather them for a cycle. If they're a difficult customer, then maybe this is the moment life gives you a gift. Losing an unprofitable customer is sometimes the best raise you'll ever get. One more warning. Do not raise prices without raising expectations on yourself. If you're delivering slow or inconsistently, or even missing deadlines, then raising prices won't fix the real issue. Pricing isn't a parachute for bad operations. It's an accelerator for strong ones. But if you run a good business, then charging appropriately is not just okay, it's necessary. So to wrap this up, raising prices the the right way comes down to three simple things. Mindset, stop believing customers are going to riot. Most won't. Math, don't guess your increase, know your costs and your margin goals. Method, communicate clearly with a reason, relevance, and reassurance. If you do these three things, raising prices becomes a normal business rhythm, not a panic attack. Most companies should be reviewing pricing once every 12 months minimum. Some every 6 months, depending on their market. You owe it to yourself, you owe it to your employees, and your long-term stability to stay ahead of rising costs and protect the future of your business. So go run the numbers, make the decision with confidence, and stop apologizing for running a business properly. All right, that's it for today. If you want more business insights, please make sure you subscribe and be sure to check the link in the description for a free download of the 7 Lies book, a great read for any business owner looking to level up. I'll see you in the next one.